How to look up a value in LibreOffice Calc. LibreOffice Calc is a free open source spreadsheet program similar to Microsoft Excel. It has many of the same features and user interface as Microsoft Excel. It is not identical to Microsoft Excel, however. What do I mean by look up a value? A simple example would be to look up the phone number of a customer, such as John Smith in this table here. This table consists of two vertical columns. The first column is the customer name with John Smith and other names, and the second is the phone number. So we might wish to look up the phone number of John Smith. What we want to do here, over to the right-hand side, is we have customer name, that's John Smith, and we have phone number. We'd like to enter John Smith or any other customer name in the customer name entry field and then see the phone number. This is done in LibreOffice Calc with the VLOOKUP, short for vertical lookup function. I type equal sign to invoke a function. I do VLOOK up. I mistyped. Yep. Look up. Look up. Okay. Now I'm going to type open paren. So I have VLOOKUP open paren. When I type to open paren, I get a cheat sheet, a little pop-up from LibreOffice Express prompting me for the 4 arguments. Now what they're called in the help that pops up here is rather cryptic and confusing. Fortunately, there are some better descriptions of the syntax. So the first item we want is the search item. This is what we're looking for. So I click on the field. This is cell D4, column D, row 4. I have John Smith in it. That's where I get the search item. This is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find John Smith's phone number. Now, the way that LibreOffice Calc works is that when I selected the cell D4, it actually put D4 in as the first argument in VLOOKUP. All right, so I've got the first argument, the search item. Now I want the table array, which is just called array in the pop-up that LibreOffice gives you. All right, so that's this table over here. I click on the upper left corner of the table, which is actually where John Smith is located. Now I move the mouse pointer down to the lower right corner, press Shift on my keyboard, click again, and I have now selected the entire table. The spreadsheet fills in the VLOOKUP arguments, the second argument, which is A2, that's the upper left corner cell, colon, so it indicates a range, and the lower right corner, which is B9. So this indicates a rectangular range, A2 colon B9. All right, I'll click, and now I'm going to put a comma in, and we get to the next item, which is the index here, which says column index number in the array. And that is, in fact, what the way that VLOOKUP works is it looks in the very first column of the table for the search item, the thing it's looking for, and what it looks up is in a subsequent vertical column to the right. In this very simple example, we only have 2 columns. So we look up the search item, John Smith, in the customer name column, which is the first, column 1. That's always where it looks, and then it goes rightwards from it to the appropriate column, which I specify here. So that's column 2 is phone number. We want to look up the phone number in column 2. So I type 2, and we are left with the final search type. There's 2 options in LibreOffice Calc. 0 is looking for an exact match. So if I misspell John Smith, I'm going to get an error. If I did 1, it would do an approximate match, and it might compensate for the error and still give me John Smith's phone number. But I don't want that. I want only an exact match. So I type 0. That's the 4th argument. I type close paren. That's the formula in the spreadsheet which will do the lookup. When I hit return, now I see on phone number John Smith's phone number 55-1234. But this isn't just for John Smith. Let's say I wanted to find Bob Jones' phone number. Instead, I get 555-1242, which is Bob Jones' number. Let's do one more example. Let's try Harriet Vane. And I get Harriet Vane's phone number, 555-1239. Let's see what happens if I misspell, for example, Harriet Vane. I add an E. I thought her name was Harriet Vanny. I hit return, and I get #N/A, which probably stands for not applicable or not available. It's an error. The errors start with the #. So let's fix that. I'm just going to go back to John Smith as I finish, and I get John Smith's number. That is how you look up a value in LibreOffice Calc. Note that Microsoft Excel is very similar. It also has a VLOOKUP function, short for vertical lookup, which works much the same way. Some things that Excel does are actually different from LibreOffice Calc, but it's very, very similar in the way that it does this type of lookup. This is the version of LibreOffice I'm using. It is version 24.2.5.2. Close the help for that, and I'm going to check for updates just to make sure I have the most recent version for the time and date when I'm showing or making this video, and indeed I do. LibreOffice 24.2 is up to date. Close. That concludes how to look up a value in LibreOffice Calc.